Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with Deputy Superintendent Alinda Westbrook from our Public Integrity Bureau. As you all know, our force investigation team, which includes members of the FBI New Orleans office, is leading the ongoing investigation into the officer-involved shooting that happened yesterday afternoon in the 5th District. Detectives worked throughout the night into the morning collecting evidence, talking to witnesses, gathering any additional facts that will help us in this investigation. I do want to remind you that this investigation is less than 24 hours old, but over the past several hours, we've learned additional information that I believe is important to provide to this community. The NOPD has a strong investigative process in place, and it's important to me that we're extremely transparent to our residents as we move forward in this investigation. So based on our initial investigation, here's what we know right now. Just before 4 a.m., a Louisiana State Police trooper engaged in a vehicle pursuit of a stolen vehicle in the 5th Police District. The vehicle, which was a gray 2015 Toyota Camry that had been reported stolen on August 4, 2016 from the 1500 block of Crete Street. The trooper pursued the vehicle to the intersection of Allen and Dual Streets where the vehicle crashed. At that point, 3 unknown males exited the vehicle and ran off in different directions in the area. According to the trooper, 2 of the suspects fired shots at the trooper's marked SUV. The trooper did not return fire. He immediately called in the incident, and nearby state troopers and NOPD units quickly responded to the scene. At that point, a second Louisiana State Police trooper driving a marked Crown Victoria tracked down one of the 3 suspects in the 1900 block of Hope Street. The trooper got out of his vehicle and chased the suspect into a nearby alley. The suspect then fired shots at the trooper, and the trooper returned fire. The trooper sustained 1 gunshot wound to the elbow and was taken to the hospital for treatment and was in good condition. It's unknown at this time whether or not the suspect was struck by the trooper's shots. Several NOPD and Louisiana State Police units then arrived to the intersection of Law and New Orleans Streets. The same suspect who shot the trooper on Hope Street then emerged and opened fire on law enforcement. Our law enforcement officers returned fire, striking the suspect. Officers located a black semi-automatic handgun with an extended magazine in the suspect's possession. Detectives later learned the weapon was reported stolen out of St. Tammany Parish. EMS transported that suspect to the hospital where he later died. NOPD and state police immediately set up a perimeter in the area to pursue the remaining suspects. 2 suspects, but they were able to escape. Both of them remain at large, and our investigators do not have any additional information or descriptions on those suspects at this time. Once officers cleared the perimeter, our detectives canvassed the neighborhood for surveillance video, for witnesses, and for additional evidence. This morning, our detectives returned to the scene with ATF agents to locate any additional ballistic evidence. The NOPD collected multiple casings from the same scene, as well as the stolen vehicle and the Louisiana State Police SUV. All evidence will be processed at the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab. The Orleans Parish Coroner's Office will conduct the autopsy on August 23rd, where members of the Independent Police Monitor and the Force Investigation Team will be present. And the Coroner's Office will identify the victim and will determine cause of death. So about video footage, as we know, NOPD patrol officers are equipped with body-worn cameras, and detectives have recovered footage from the incident. NOPD and state police patrol vehicles are also equipped with dash cameras, and our detectives have recovered video footage of the incident from these cameras as well. Earlier this year, the NOPD implemented a critical incident process that outlines when and how the department will release its own audio and video recordings of critical incidents involving NOPD officers to the public. The process allows for the public release of recordings that capture critical incidents such as officer-involved shootings based on a clear set of guidelines that include collaboration with local, state, and federal criminal justice agencies. This incident is considered a critical incident, and the department has activated the critical incident process, and we will let the public know what video, if any, may be released before the conclusion of this investigation. Our investigators have also been in contact with the family members of the deceased. So based on the initial investigation, we believe that 2 NOPD officers discharged their weapons during the incident. Both officers have been placed on administrative reassignment pending the outcome of this ongoing investigation. As you know, we're operating under a federal consent decree, and members of the consent decree monitoring team are actively monitoring the ongoing investigation. There were 2 consent decree members from the monitoring team present on the scene yesterday, also with the independent police monitor, and both are monitoring this investigation as we speak. I think it's very important to note how important it is that we are very transparent. It is important that we get all of these types of incident right, but what we need now is any information about the 2 suspects, where they are, who they are, where they're hiding, and if they can hear me, they need to turn themselves in. They're considered armed and dangerous. You can call NOPD directly, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. I want to thank and commend both the officers from the New Orleans Police Department and the state police who acted very bravely, very courageously. This was a very intense and dangerous situation where many people, law enforcement and community members alike, could have been injured or could have been killed. But I want to thank them for their bravery and for their courage, for their professionalism. And I want to make sure that the public knows that it is always our promise, and we're going to deliver on that promise of being very transparent through this entire process. Questions?
Building on that, how more people could have been hurt. I'm told where this happened was right across from a park where the 3rd shooting scene was, and I'm told by neighbors that there were a ton of kids there at the time. Can you talk about how that played into what the officers, their response?
That's so important because this was in broad daylight, and these armed subjects made that active decision to open fire on law enforcement. And they had no regard for human life, for their own lives, for the lives of law enforcement, and they certainly didn't have any regard for the children who may have been on that playground right across the street. And so they are to be considered armed and dangerous. And so the message to the community is, if you have any information, please give that to us, or please call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. It makes our job that much harder when people just have no regard for human life. And so we're out there running toward danger. Instead of running away from it, we're running toward it. But these people make this very cowardly decision to fire at police officers, putting innocent people in harm's way.
Chief, is there any possibility at all that the slain suspect took his life? Has that been ruled out? Can you say with certainty that law enforcement shot and killed him?
Well, what I can tell you is we're dealing with real people, real lives, who have real emotions, who are suffering, and that is under investigation. And it would be irregular and improper for me to say that right now, because the coroner is the person who actually rules cause of death. And so the coroner will conduct the autopsy on August 11th. Everything that we get, August 23rd, I'm sorry, excuse me. Everything that we get, we're investigating, and it is under investigation, but it would be irregular and improper for me to speak to that at this time.
Chief, do you know how the trooper chased this stolen car, but how and where did they first encounter the car, and how did they know it was stolen?
Well, this was an ongoing investigation into auto thefts, and they were working this investigation. There was a surveillance that was underway, and the state police followed that car, which turned into a pursuit, and that pursuit led all the way to this part of the city. And at that time, when the car crashed, is when the subjects exited the vehicle and began firing at law enforcement.
So that car had been under surveillance or being watched as part of this ongoing?
It was part of this investigation, that is correct.
Is there anything more you can say at this hour about the suspect who was fatally shot? Was he known to law enforcement? Is there anything you can tell us about his history without identifying?
Right now, we were able to make contact with his family, and out of respect for his family, Chief Westbrook and I are working to meet with his mother as soon as possible, as early as tomorrow, if that's possible. And so we're not going to release any information about him, because she has not been able to confirm with the coroner yet, and we want her to be able to have that, and after that, we'll be able to talk about that.
Any leads on where the 2 remaining suspects might be? Are they still in New Orleans?
We do not, and that's the important thing, that we need people who know. If they think they know, to call us and to call Crime Stoppers and let us pursue these subjects, because we will pursue them relentlessly. This is unacceptable. It will not go away, and we will never forget. We are going to pursue them relentlessly. And so it will be our hope that they would turn themselves in. But if someone knows who they are, please call us and call Crime Stoppers, because they are armed and dangerous. They've already proven that to us once.
Chief, I know, without getting into specifics of which officer fired, how many times, but do you know, just in general, the total number of shell casings recovered at any or all of the scenes?
We collected a number of shell casings, but because this is ongoing, that's actually a piece of our evidence, and we're not ready to release that at this time.
You said 2 NOPD officers did discharge their weapons. What about state police? Do you know how many state police troopers fired?
We do not. Well, we know who fired their weapons. We're not going to talk about how many rounds were actually fired, but we do know that there was an exchange of gunfire between state police and perhaps one subject.
Okay, but it was one trooper was involved in that exchange?
To my knowledge, one trooper.
Are you guys releasing the names of the officers involved, or is that later?
Not at this time. We will, but not at this time.